welcome to our newest episode. It's your co-host, Rissy Ray.
Hey.
And yours truly, Kaninja. Today, we are going to talk about marriage. Should we jump right in or should we hold off? Should we hold off on it? So, Rissy, right off the bat, marriage. First thoughts, go.
Stress. Stress. A whole lot of stress. So yes, a whole lot of stress. Okay, just stress. I see my parents because my parents are happily married, so they say, and I just be seeing stress. Like marriage equals stress. Versus it, but it's a stress that can be seen. Like I deal with different stressors all the time,
right?
But you're not gonna see it because I'm saying the stress is just not so. It's just okay,
right?
You know,
right? Exactly. But this.
What about you?
Other people.
What about you, Kaninja?
The whole conglomerate of emotions. I'm just gonna leave it there.
Man, let me tell you, no return on investment. That's what people be looking like.
Yeah. No returns allowed.
Yeah, like they be like, I think the worst when I think marriage, I'm like, what's the benefit? Like I used to think there was.
Mm-hmm.
You get so many married folk trying to like hang out and date you and all those things and play checkers with you and stuff. You're just like, so, but you got best friend. Ain't your wife your best friend?
Mm-hmm. No.
So I'm like, huh? Like, cause that's what lies, lies and stress.
Damn, stress and lies. All right. I think of it as hard and emotional. So
damn.
It is not easy, and there's a conglomerate of emotions out of it. So, but we'll get into the reasons why as we go into it. So, Rissy, where did marriage start?
So we over here looking this up, okay? So marriage comes from the Middle English, which was first seen in 1250 through 1300. I don't even know. I think it was supposed to be BC, but it says CE. I'm not really good with history.
This is what you get.
However, the ancient institution likely predates this date. The main goal of marriage early on was to act as an alliance between families, which I believe everybody could be on that type of understanding because that's what you see on TV. Mm-hmm. They're like, marry my daughter so we could be unite as a mom. Like, yeah, I get it. That's right. The whole, that's whole Europe right there,
Right.
Throughout history and even today, families arrange marriage for couples. Most couples didn't marry because they were in love, but for economic liaisons. The people involved didn't have much to say about the decision then, and often don't today either. And that's in regards to arranged marriages.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, there are a lot of arranged marriages that are still going on today. And it's kind of you have that dowry. I think what is it? The groom's parents give the bride's parents like some sort of gift as a dowry. It's like, thank you for giving your daughter or something along those lines. It's like a payment in a way, which is, again, going back to our women empowerment episode, makes me feel some sort of ways.
Just a tad bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, I can definitely see that, like when you mentioned, like in Europe, when it comes to the kings and queens and prince and princesses, when it comes to more of the royalty or nobility, when it comes to union or having a union of two families so that you can increase your namesake or increase your wealth, I guess you can say. And I think a lot of poor people ended up doing that too, is to increase the wealth. And which is interesting that we didn't do that through love or anything like that. Like that we have commercials about saying, oh, you get married because you love, and it's all about love. We're really reasons.
That's secondhand. That's like, I might like you, you might like me, but
what benefit am I getting out of this?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, if you get with a guy who's like, hey, I'm a dentist. Okay, dentist, then I know I don't have to work. I don't gotta work.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you a dentist.
Right. Period.
No love. I mean, there's love in there. They learn to love. I guess I heard that before. Like, you learn to love someone.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds so like, you know what I mean?
It's like forced.
Yeah, you're like, you just learn to love each other. Like, huh?
I want to learn to love them. I just want to love them.
I just want to love them. And their faces when you say, I just want to love them, like, you'll find out soon enough, my child. It's bigger than that.
It's not about love. And a lot of people who I know that are married, they're just like, love will only take you so far. And it's just like, well, damn, okay. So this kind of reiterates that a little bit.
Yes, like I grew up with so much Princess Snow White. My Prince Charming gonna come and rescue me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got a manly man fetish. Okay, he gonna rescue me. He's gonna jump some shit. He's gonna reach some shit. He gonna fight some shit to get to me. Okay,
to save you.
To save me.
I can't.
But that's the watching Disney. I love Disney princesses and stuff like that. And guess what messed me up was Mulan. You already know how the story goes, but with Mulan and stuff, at the end of the day, she was fit.
Yeah.
That dude was, when he was like, hey, y'all need to know how to do this, and she's just like, I was like, ooh. Like, I watched it again a couple years ago. I was like, ooh, Shane,
do it again.
He said, I'm gonna show you how to do it. Like, like how you the scene with the song, and then he went, got the fish.
Yeah. He went at the pole,
Yeah, like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's it. That's what I was told. Like, love.
That's love, right?
Love is supposed to make him be able to do all that for me. Not that, but so I find it interesting going back to the .com. I'm real. I've been drinking. Most ancient societies needed a secure environment for the perpetuation of the species, of course. A system of rules to handle the granting of property rights and the protection of bloodlines. The institution of marriage handled these needs. For example, in ancient Hebrew, the law required a man to become the husband of a deceased brother's widow, which, yeah, that is definitely true. Even .com, that is true.
Even .com, that is true. Rissy approved. And that it's interesting to kind of like why marriage was actually created, not so much as like when, but more or less as a why, is to protect those bloodlines. They used to have I know they used to have brothers and sisters and cousins or whatever. But I guess with marriage, they're like, okay, well, now there's a union between these two people, therefore there's a union of their belongings. And now we can continue the bloodline of this strong union, So, and they would say like, okay, well, this man who has, let's say, a lot of wealth or a lot of, notoriety or whatever the case, would also need a woman that also has a lot of wealth or notoriety. And then there's your power couple, and now you're gonna have a strong bloodline, was the thought.
Exactly.
And so, and definitely that has changed throughout the years.
Oh yeah.
Power for love.
Yeah, I want for love. They're like, hold on.
Exactly. So why do we do it today? I know one of them is really, a lot of people do it today is because of tradition. I think it's a mindset in a lot of people that they've grown up in a two-parent home that were married, and their grandparents were married, their great-grandparents were married. So it really has to do with traditions. Like, okay, well, my ancestors, close ancestors were married, so therefore I want to be married as well. What's another reason why they do it?
I think it's that standard, because I know that a lot of people who grew up like in a two-parent, like a separate, like let's say the parents were together, kind of like common law, right?
Mhm.
I've met people who kind of had a common law situation, and their desire to be married was like significantly less. Like they're like, hey, my parents didn't do it, and I turned out fine, so
Mhm.
I don't see the need. But I see that mostly with people who their parents still raise them, right? Mom, 2-parent home type deal, and it was a healthy situation.
Mhm.
And I see that mostly with people like that. I don't see that when with people who grow up separately, where the parents may have gotten married off somewhere with someone else and stuff like that. I don't see it, because they're like, no, I want it together. My grandma did it. Why can't? And I didn't get the benefit of it, so I want it.
Right.
But I do see it's more of like tradition. This is what you see. This is what you're used to. This is what media makes it seem like it's okay. Now, obviously, media is now coming more 2020, 2021 with what is a traditional family.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of it was pushed like a traditional family is mom and dad married.
Right. Exactly. And it was like basically pushed through social media, and like you said, or the media itself, and saying this is what it is. Kind of like what was the typical beauty standard for women, or the typical manly standard for men. And it was pushed through media like a certain way how a person looked is that standard. Same thing with an actual traditional family, like you said, or a couple that they need to get married. And so that's where it is. That makes a lot of sense. What do you think about financials though? Do you think financials is still like a big part in getting married today?
Oh yeah, because for me, if I meet someone, it's like it may not be the actual cash, like what's in your account, right? Well, that's play a factor, okay, guys. Let me just say that's not what I also see. I also see how you are with your management of money. Because if you suck with handling money, you make $10 an hour. What you gonna do when you see my big check from the podcast?
From the podcast.
Okay?
Rissy Ray coming for you, spending your money.
Or like, let's say we want to go to different things. Everyone knows, and this rings true, that lower credit scores do not get as well of deals, like interest rate deals, with versus someone who has a higher credit score. That's just what it is. That's not something against anyone in particular. It's just what it is. So like for me, that's important, because let's say I want to get property, or different things I want to switch out. Like I was able to get a fairly deep. You know what? Let me go and put this on Kaninja. Kaninja was able to get a new car. Like she's the only one whose butt touched in it. Okay, all right, like. That's how fresh it was. It's fresh, super. It still got the new car
smell,
right? Right? She has a great deal because she makes sure that even with the money that she has and all her obligations, things like that, that you manage it like you're supposed to. If you get someone and you're together, and they see your awesome score, right, and they're lower, and obviously sometimes you need a co-signer. Okay, let's do that, but then it tanks your stuff because they're not doing their money management.
Right.
So now let's say a few years later, or you want to get another property or something like that. They're like, well, you need a co-sign. You're like, hold up. Me? So that financial is really, 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 really
important. It really is, because you hit the nail on the head, especially when the credit score, because whenever you get married, it's not just your credit score anymore, it's both of your guys' credit scores. So if you want to get a car, both of your guys' credit scores are being taken into account. If you want to get a house, both of your guys' credit scores are taken into account. So if you do have one that has a lower credit score, ultimately that's going to lower your credit score, if you have a higher credit score. So that's something that's definitely look into.
Yeah, so there's no median either. So don't think because you got a high credit score low, it don't work like that.
They typically take the lower one.
You're married. Let's go.
Exactly. Especially they'll take I think that they'll take the one who has the higher income as well. or at least that may have a play into it. But anyway, definitely financials do come into play too, because if, let's say, one of your partners is not financially stable or is not bringing in a certain amount of money, or something happens to the other person and now you're kind of SOL, you know, you're no longer going to be thinking about love or anything along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we do it today is one, for financial stability, because let's say if you find a person who is financially stable, you know, and you are financially stable as well, you just double the income now. Awesome. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can get more things now. You can do more things now because now you have more money because you have double the income. Of course, if it doesn't happen, then that's a little bit different.
And see that, I think that, I hate to say it, like, I guess I was trying to describe it as well as tradition, financials. It would stability be both of those mixed in there?
I think so. I mean, I guess it depends on what you think of stability. If you think of financially stable, or if you think of like a life stability or mental stability, you know, those are also well.
Okay.
But I mean, definitely mental stability, probably. But I don't know if that's the reason why you would want to get married. I think that has a play into staying married, is that mental stability.
Okay, because that's what I was thinking. Like, early on, when you think gumdrops and rainbows, when you think about marriage at first, like, you're like, I'm gonna get married to my first ever boyfriend. Then you find out,
Right.
And like, I was just thinking, like, my thought process used to be that boyfriend and girlfriend, obviously it's changed now because I'm older with more information. Okay, I have more information now. That at first it was like, if you get with a boyfriend or girlfriend, it doesn't seem so permanent.
Right.
Because I like how we were mentioning about just property and things like that. It just, there's nothing tied up with me and my boyfriend right now.
Right.
Like, my boyfriend live over there in his apartment. I live over here in my place.
Right.
His name is on his stuff. My name's on my stuff. If we stop talking, I got my own cell phone bill.
Right.
You know, like, or, if we're both on the same plan, let's get off. Like, boom. Like, you know what I mean? Versus if we were married, and let's say we picked my place. I'm just saying, just think that we picked my place because of whatever benefits and stuff. Now, in order for him to live with me, I gotta get his paperwork and send it to the leasing office to get him on the lease.
Right.
Right. What if we have a phone bill and he's paying his 80, I'm paying my 80, we're paying 160, but we get it. We can get a plan for 100. Now we've combined our family plan.
Right. Exactly.
That's
the thing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's like, that's the thing too, though, because if you want to combine everything, and let's say if it doesn't work out, then you have to uncombine all those things, and then that's a pain in the whole rear.
I went through that breakthrough buddies twice like a dummy. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like if you're my, like, I guess I grew up with the whole the thought process of, okay, boyfriend, girlfriend, it leads you to marriage. Right. So if you are my boyfriend, if you're my boyfriend and we're doing good, then we're on the road to get married, and then we do our stuff to be together forever. Right. But you my boyfriend, and then I'm like, I ain't feeling. I can just stop talking to you.
Right. No sweat up anybody's back. You can just see you later. Bye. Okay, moving on. No one gets hurt. No, right. Well, I mean, feelings get hurt, but there's no like damage. You know what I mean?
Right. Where we're just like, well, because like in North Carolina, they say, hey, you got to be, if you're getting a divorce, right? You got to be separated for a year and a day. That's so you got to establish, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's more of like, I feel like if you're going to leave me, there's so much work to leave me. You better know that you want to be with me. Right. Right. So
you better know for sure before we do this.
You need to know. But that was my thought process of being younger, thinking like, okay, girlfriend, boyfriend, permanent. Like, you be my girlfriend. I mean, your boyfriend for like 2, 3, 5, whatever years. But if I wake up and I'm just like, I want to change this. I can. Like,
right. Exactly. Without any problem of wreckage or anything along those lines.
Right. I'm just like, hey, you've been living there in this state and you ain't trying to move. I've been living in this state. I'm not trying to move.
Yeah. But I think that's also why a lot of people nowadays don't get married. I think they do the common law and so on and so forth because it's such a hassle. If they were to get divorced, it's such a hassle to do all those things. And when they do get married, I think that they have to combine every single little thing.
Everything.
And they don't want to take that risk. So we are about to go on a break. And so the next things we're going to be talking about is kind of like what changes when a couple does get married, like the different kinds of things that could change the relationship. Because, hey, everyone says, I don't get married because the relationship will change. The person will change. Things will change. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about what actually changes when a couple does get married. And also kind of Rissy and I's thought process on whether when we do get married, are we going to be in a wedding or a courthouse? And some other things we're going to be talking about. So
Team courthouse.
I'm team wedding. But anyway, with that, we'll be back. And we're back. So basically what we're gonna just jump right in again. We're gonna be talking about what changes when a couple gets married. So Rissy, you want to start us off?
What changes when a couple gets married? Number one, let me say this, the top. There's so many different ones. That power dynamic, that definitely changes. This is from lovepanky.com. Wink, wink. Can't see more my shades. Power dynamics. I feel like you work towards a goal. If you're a healthy, goal-oriented couple, you're working to a goal. Goal may be, I want to finish school. He finished school, or whoever the significant. Like you have all these goals that you're hitting, right? Mm-hmm. Where sometimes both of y'all can't get the same thing. Both of y'all can't do the same thing at the same time, right? Sometimes it happens. I've seen some couples where it's like, where in order for you to go to school, I'm using that as an example, someone has to still work. Mm-hmm. So depending on who, it can change the dynamics. For example, Kaninja is a career woman. Mm-hmm. Kaninja's been making money since she was 6. So for Kaninja to go and be like, hey, I'm about to go into this, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go to school. Mm-hmm. In order for Kaninja to go to school, all right, full time and no distractions, Barry got to go and work full time, 2 jobs, working 12 days a week.
Right.
So yeah, doing it for love. You love the relationship. So you're in school being tortured, and Barry's at work being tortured twice, mm-hmm. for the family. But It changes the dynamics because being that Kaninja is a career woman, Kaninja got to ask for money. Mm-hmm. Kaninja got to ask for permission.
Back to our women empowerment.
Kaninja gotta get an allowance. And so it changes, right? So it does change, especially kind of like what powers, what gifts, what talents you've already brought to the table. And because you guys are all collectively reaching for the same goal, what does he or she or whoever your partner have to do for you guys collectively get all those goals? And I feel like the power dynamic changes because you might have to change up some stuff. It could also be your mentality of marriage, where you may feel like, hey, my mom was a strong independent. Mm-hmm. So I expect her to be doing a lot of the heavy work while my dad was at home.
Right. So it changes to kind of like what your view is, like you mentioned, the mindset of how you view the other person as soon as you get married.
Right. Because again, we're going from being a couple to being married. So the thing that you used to do, where it was like, hey, I'm working these 12, you're like, no, like it's us.
Mm-hmm.
Out, you know.
Right.
What do
It's
you
not
think,
you,
Kaninja?
not me. Basically, I totally agree because it's just like it goes from individuals to a unit, and depending on how the two people in that unit, how they react, of course, the power dynamic may change, as in maybe when they were just a couple, a boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe the girlfriend was the one that was wearing, in quote, the pants in the relationship. But maybe when they got married, they're actually seeing that the man has more money or more income or so on and so forth. So in turn, it's changed for the man to be wearing, in quote, the pants in the relationship, which could create some sort of conflict, especially if that is a huge enough change. So I totally agree on that one. So I guess the next one would be the spending habits become more apparent. So when you are a couple, boyfriend, girlfriend, what you spend on yourself with your own money, the only business that is your own. So it doesn't matter to the boyfriend or girlfriend what you spend with your own money on what you do, because it doesn't affect them in any way, shape, or form, because you don't share anything. But now when you're married, you're sharing stuff. You're living in the same household. You have the same bills. You have the same responsibilities. So if you still spend like you spent beforehand, let's say $200 on a dress, when you still have to pay $200 on the utility bill, that's going to become more apparent because, hey, do we have money to pay this utility bill? No, you spent that money on a dress, or you spent that money on a console, or something along those lines. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, because right now, if I just spent money on like some food delivery service. Someone else would be like, so you could just make it. I don't care about that. I want to pay my $100 for food service. Right. I know I can make it myself.
Exactly.
So yeah, that spending habit is more apparent, because then you're like, because majority, like I've seen couples do like a mix where it's like their personal bank account, and then they have the house bank account, where it takes care of all the household bills and stuff. But you can still see like one or two purchases, because let's say you got the wrong card that day, like you took the house card instead of your personal card, and they're like, so why did you go and spend $30 at Chick-fil-A?
Right.
But I packed you your lunch.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm over here like, because I didn't want my lunch, like.
And I just wanted the whole menu at Chick-fil-A.
Exactly. So yeah, I feel like it definitely gets into like what you do spend on, what you don't spend on. Like, even though, let's say, the bills are getting paid, all the bills are getting paid except for, like everything's getting paid, and they're just like, so why do you only got $5 left? Okay, let's see. You're like, oh, so you just bought like all this stuff from Amazon, like.
Exactly. And savings comes into play too. Like, okay, did you have to buy all this stuff from Amazon? Could you have put it into savings so we can finally go on that vacation at the end of this year? Yeah. Or, hey, the plumbing just broke. If we had savings and you didn't spend that money on Amazon, then we could have used that money for this.
Right.
And so that's something just definitely to keep into account before you get married, is the spending habits of the other person.
So sex. Of course, she set it up so that I could see it. Of course. I think it does, especially if you are. Let me say this: if you're, some people are not used to doing it every day. You know what I mean? And then they start getting like creative, adding random stuff to there. You're just like, hold on now. So I feel like it. Okay, I'll use me as an example. I'll bring it in. So me and my daughter's father, we were together 2 years, and then we moved in together. A lot of people were surprised that I did that. And so we lived together. So like my drive when we moved together went skyrocket, like skyrocket. Cause I was just like, I can get this every day. Like it not have to be a designated date day. I can get this every day. But he couldn't keep up.
I don't think it's all you can eat, like a buffet every day.
Like I was just so surprised. And so we had to have a conversation where he was just like, hey, I'm not built to do this every day. And I'm just like, why not? Don't you love me? Like,
did you find me attractive?
Did you find me attractive? There's someone else that has to be. Okay? Cause we're all over each other. He's just like, that's once a week, once every 2 weeks. This is every day, honey. I'm like, so
how dare you?
How dare you, whore? Like, but I noticed that changed. So like I had to come down where I had to come down to match his level. And then he had to adjust where even if he didn't have the energy to give me those couple pumps, it was kind of like, hey, give it to her anyway, just so she can shut up. so she just leave you alone. So she can leave you alone, okay? And so you have to. It's so funny to talk about it.
Couple pumps, just a couple pumps. You gotta use those verbiage, okay?
Like this is not like how they said. Just 2 more, 3 more. I guess I'm laughing so much because it's so many years ago, right? Like it's going on like 6-7 years ago, but it's just so funny to think about it now. What the? You got it.
Another set.
And so I do that feel that change, and I feel that also that couples have to become more creative. Because for me, I could get what we were doing. I could get missionary every day. I was fine. And so some couples, they get tired of it. Like where, like I heard some couples, they do it like once a week, maybe 2-3 times a week. That's if that. Like they're like, we got stuff to do, right? And so I know that they get more creative where it starts to get boring, and then they have to do other stuff.
Right. And
I'm just like, but how about you, Kaninja?
No, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, once you get married, sex doesn't become a priority anymore, unless you want to have kids, because you got other things you got to deal with. You got bills, you got jobs, you got vacations you want to do. Like when you get married, you have so much more things to worry about, or so many more things to really take care of, where like sex becomes it becomes lower and lower in the priority list, where it does become either once every other week or even once a month or whatever the case. And when that does happen, it's just like, if you have the same thing, then it doesn't get exciting anymore. So then you need to have something that spruces it up and all that stuff, like you mentioned. So I totally agree. I just feel like it just doesn't become a priority. And having a conversation like that and how important it is to like when you do it. Because I've heard some married couples actually schedule when they will have sex. They're like, okay, every Saturday at 7:00, we will have sex.
Yes, I heard where they're just like, they just have, Sundays or whatever day is their day. Like that's the day.
Yeah. The date night that couples have. Yeah, we all know what's happening at date night.
This is so interesting. Like because I heard that before, where they really schedule like, hey, this is our
exactly
after our nap. You're like nap.
Outdoor nap.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, you do you, all right, as long as it's in your backyard with a 6-foot fence.
You're like, whatever. So yes, so definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So next is children. So what changes when the couple gets married is the notion of children. It becomes more apparent that people are pushing children on married couples, you know, saying, oh, okay, now that you're married, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to start having these, you know, little yous running around, you know, so on and so forth, where before the main topic was, when are you going to get married? You know,
oh yeah,
it
we
wasn't.
change it up for y'all.
Oh yeah, they're never happy. No one's ever happy where they are. So, but that does change, because since now it's being pushed, and some couples don't have that conversation before they get married about children, you know, and it can be more daunting. What do you think, Rissy?
Yeah, man, like children is a very interesting topic, because again, it's half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Some people want them, some people don't. That's just what it is. And when you're in a marriage, you have to, oh Lord, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. And you're right. They're never happy. There's no one who's ever happy. So you are dealing with people who are like, hey, when are you gonna get married? You're like, okay, I got married. So what about them kids? And you're just like, because I met one dude, I really, really liked him. Kaninja knows.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'm good. Like, you got a kid? I'm like, yeah. I kind of want more. And they're like, no, I'm good. I said, heifer? That's not gonna work.
Right.
Because I want my little football team. And so, but there's no compromise. That's the thing about children. Like how we talked about the other topics and stuff.
Right.
There's no true compromise with children. It's either you have them or you don't.
Right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like of all the topics of what changes a couple, that is something you just can't.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's like, if you do, then you're already in the mindset of trying your best to be the best mom, dad, whatever that you can be. When you're like, kids are like, you're like, I could. That's not comforting to me.
Right.
Because you're like, hold on now, because I need help. Like, I will need your help. Like, you would have to be active.
Yeah.
So if you are kind of like, while we're talking, then what's my expectation of you when it's happening?
Right. You're not going to be helping. You're going to be like, or making a big deal to help, or whatever the case.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people say, like, well, you know, they'll change. I'm like, I don't need you to change when I'm pregnant. I don't need you to change when I'm pushing. Okay? I don't need you to change while I'm sick. I need you to be, as soon as I throw that pregnancy test at your face.
You did this to me.
While I was sleeping. You know, this is why we stick to Sundays.
This is why I stick to Sunday. And outdoors.
You know, like, when I throw it at you, I want you to be like happy.
Right.
I don't want to deal with any undue stresses of, I'm pregnant, and you're just like, oh, you're pregnant? Like, you were there too.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's no compromise with children. Like, obviously, people learn to be the best them they can be, but if you get in a relationship with someone and they don't want children, you do, someone's going to be unhappy. There's no, yeah. Because I see with like families who got the 3 kids or whatever number, and they're just like, yeah, it would have been nice if I had that last one, like an extra child. Right. Those who already got kids that are grown and have become grandparents will say that. Yeah. I always wanted 4, but you know, I could only have 1 for whatever reason. No one's saying any different is the reason why, but they still want that. Like, their dream was this was their reality. They still want those extra whatever. So that's for someone who was able to pop out some kids, or, you know, adopt or whatever, have children. Then how's it gonna be for someone who's like, I want kids? No, I'm good.
Yeah. You can't have half a child, or you can't have a child sometimes. Like, you can sex or compromise on the spending habits. You can't have a budget. No. It's a child. Yes or no.
That's it. So that's how I feel. And, you know, I already have my one, so I already come with a package deal. I'm like, hey, I know you don't have no kids or whatever, but this one right here, I can't get rid of. Yeah, she knows where I live.
She won't leave me alone.
She won't leave me alone. She will call me.
Right.
You're like, so, like, she'll call me by my real name if I mess with
right. Rissy.
She's I told her one time, I was like, hey, she's like, mommy. I was like, I'm not your mommy. Rissy, can I get a drink of water? She's like, what?
She's like, okay, well then I'm gonna call you your other name.
Exactly. I'm gonna get what I need from you, ma'am. So yeah, me and her package deal. So I'm like, hey, if you don't want any kids, then you not for me, because this one I be,
Mm-hmm.
children
Right.
life. So that's how I feel about the whole with the children. That's a really, you gotta be on the same page for that, because if you say like, oh, I wasn't really trying to have any extra kids, you're like, hold on now, I don't need you to be holding my baby and then letting my baby get a baby rash because you didn't want to change the diaper, because that's just part of the dirtiness, the ugly part of being a parent.
Right, exactly. The good, bad, and the ugly you gotta deal with.
The trenches, yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
The trenches.
So what's next?
Family involvement. Wait. Because I paused, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, it's your turn, by the way. So family involvement. I do believe that. I noticed that when you're a couple and it's just y'all two, like even when I moved in with my daughter's father, I felt like for some reason I wanted the family, like you automatically want more of a family vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I already knew how he has a very terrible interaction with his family, by the way. So it's the opposite of some people's story, but it was like he was negative to his family and stuff. So nobody really wanted to hang out, spend time with him like that. So I'm over here like, I want the family unit, like something clicks that, hey, we're married, we're family. That is not the case,
right,
for everyone, because sometimes you have in-laws where you're just like, I don't even want them around me, period. So now that I'm married, I got to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like it does change on your view of family, because again, with me and him dating, it was just us. And then when we were like serious, moved in and stuff, that's when like I was like, let's have lunch with my brother and sister. Let's hang out with your mom. And
Yeah. It was kind of more of like the obligation or so on and so forth is, okay, now that we're married or now that we're together, we have to spend more time with your family,
Mm-hmm.
or the other way around, and saying like the family is pushing their beliefs and their opinions on you a lot more because you're married. Because they're like, okay, well, now you're part of the family. Now we can be open and honest with everything. No filter whatsoever, and definitely that could change, because when you're boyfriend and girlfriend, they're like, well, it ain't gonna last. But when they're married, you're thinking that they're gonna last. So they're like, okay, well, now I can be open and honest with you as siblings or parents or whatever the case. And yeah, you definitely find out which in-laws or family members you're still cool with and which ones you're not at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but with the interest of time, we're going to kind of move along pretty quickly. The last one was being married becomes everything. And I would say that's very true, because married people hang out with married people and they're like, I can't do it because I'm married, and so on and so forth.
So lame.
I know. So, but let's go on to this wedding versus courthouse. We have a whole bunch of other things that we were going to talk about today. But because of time, we only got through the first part of things we're talking about today, Break Room Buddies. let's talk about
Where's the second page? My bad. I thought Break Room Buddies, you can't see this, but like we have an outline. I think I mentioned this. We have an outline. And so I just saw what are our thoughts. So I thought like, oh, we gotta talk today. Didn't realize there's a second page. My bad. Like they're like things we didn't talk about. I'm like, what you mean? Like, what you mean? I mean, she's the boss, by the way. She's always gonna be the boss. But I'm like, come on, boss. Like, we did this. We killed it. And like looking down, I'm like, oh,
a whole nother part. So, but wedding versus courthouse. If you are engaged or about to get married, What would you rather do? Wedding versus courthouse? Rissy.
I prefer courthouse, and it's literally just because the cost and less family, like less drama.
That makes sense.
Just because, like, if you come from a big family or something, you know, or maybe not necessarily, but if I chose, like, I have an older sister, but if I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna have Kaninja be my maid of honor. Dun dun dun. Like,
how could you?
How could you? Like, I'm your older sister. Like, what? WTF? So to mind all that, just put me and the dude. Sarah vows. I really want to go to Las Vegas. By the way, I really want to go to Vegas, get married in Vegas. But
invite me.
oh yeah. Like, that's the one thing. You have to have witnesses. Okay.
Yes.
Excuse me. And Kaninja already said that she will curse me out if I do a courthouse. I do anything that's non-traditional. and she don't come. She's like, I will look good. I don't care. I was like, I'm gonna do a courthouse. And Kaninja was like, okay, I'll dress up. Like, what you mean? Like, it's still a special day. She said it's still a special day regardless of where you are. I was like, that really made me feel special. She said, I will get dressed. What are you talking about?
Makeup, everything, hair, everything. I will go to the, I don't remember what the saying is, but I will go the mile for you.
Oh yeah, she's gonna look cute. Like, she's gonna be like, you can't tell her where she's going. You can't tell her she's going to the courthouse. Like, she's gonna be like, you ain't telling me nothing. I know where I'm going. Okay.
I'm strut my stuff.
Yeah, like, so that's for me. I just see. So now I have a cousin who did a courthouse, like, with her and her significant other, and then did a reception. Okay. Where it was just a big party. I'm open to that because then it's just less stress. You don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. And just weddings are so expensive. No shade to anyone who does weddings. But if I'm over here, we trying to work on our debt, and the amount of our debt is literally equal, like, or some of it can be knocked out with the wedding, how much you spent on the wedding, then I'd rather that as a money gift versus, but that's just me. Kaninja.
I'm totally on the other side of the spectrum. I want an elaborate wedding.
Yes.
Dressed to the nines, yes, all this stuff. And I guess it goes back to tradition, as having that traditional wedding and dun 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 dun. Oh no, that's President's song. Never mind.
Oh my, and I was like, yeah, girl, that's the song.
You were for it. So but like
yeah,
it sounds like you're doing a chant, like you're about to like get sacrificed or something. That song is not gonna be on mine. But the whole like searching for a wedding dress, picking a theme, picking a cake, getting all these things together, those are just fun things that you can do. The engagement party, the bridal shower, the bachelorette party, or the bachelor party, all those things are just little mini celebrations to have a celebration and union with all your family and friends, which is, to me, I thought that was a super cool thing because not only the two people get married as a union, but you're also combining and having a union of family and friends of the couple as well. And that's like a celebration, which I always find like is a very symbolic kind of thing. So, but again, like it is very expensive. So I do not blame you whatsoever, because if you want something to be elaborate, you gotta pay for the venue, you gotta pay for the dress, you gotta pay for the cake, you gotta pay for the DJ, you gotta pay for the photographer or the videographer or whatever the case, XYZ. So but definitely you have two different thoughts here, Break Room Buddies, on what we think on that one. So we are out of time. Before our final thoughts as well, is what we were going to be talking about is whether we thought that marriage was a scam or not, why people choose not to get married, what the risk is, and should we still get married? If you are still interested in hearing us talk about those types of things, let us know in the comments below or on our Facebook page or Twitter or so on and so forth. And we will definitely make a part 2 to this. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. And if you guys have any comments, just definitely let us know. With that is our final thoughts. So, Rissy, you go first.
Whew.
I talk way too fast.
Just say, you're like, bam, 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 bam.
Take a breath for me.
Dude. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. So awesome topic again, Kaninja. Because marriage is a topic to today, even though, as we can see with our research, it's been going on for centuries for various different reasons. Some people choose, like, why? Why do I do it? What do I get out of it? Power moves. Okay. Power moves. So yes, if you comment, share, subscribe, so we can talk the second part of it, especially because I want to talk about, do you think it's a scam? And you don't want to hear my conspiracy on that. And that is my 30 seconds.
I'm ready for that conspiracy. So I definitely like this topic. I feel like it is becoming more and more controversial, whether people should get married or should not get married, and how different generations look upon each other regardless of their decision. I know older generations look on millennials or Gen Zs, for not getting married as like, oh, you hoodlums, or you hippies, or whatever the case, but there's reasons why people don't get married, and there's reasons why people do get married. And I thought this was a really good topic because we are starting to see that change more and more, and a lot quicker as the days go by, as well as the years go by. So yes, definitely let us know if you want a part 2 for us to talk about that, because I am ready to hear Rissy's conspiracy theory on whether it's a scam or not. So I'm up for it.
You're ready and I'm ready.
Exactly. So with that, be sure to comment on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter on what you feel about marriage, and is this something that you feel is still needed in today's society, and what, if you want to get married, or if you are married, and what changed within your marriage, anything along those lines. Like, let us know what your thoughts are about what we talked about today. Like, comment, share, subscribe on our YouTube channel. It is somewhere over there. I know Rissy was pointing before, but somewhere around, I'm just pointing everywhere, is there. Thank you all for listening in. Bye, Break Room Buddies.
Bye.
See you next time.